Hey, 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 I'm back, I'm black. Today I'm by myself, but I'm still black and brown. Ambition, 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 ambition. Hey, 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 BA fam. It's me, Tiffany, the Budgetnista. I'm here by myself in the stew today because our good friend Mandra has baby things a brewing. Depending on when you listen to this. She either had the baby, is about to have the baby, something baby related. I actually just came back from Mandi's baby shower yesterday, which was really cute. She had it in the park. So she's doing well, but she kind of had an impromptu thing she had to do, baby related today. So y'all just get me in the stew. So I was like, oh, I'm going to go rogue. No, I figured that we would talk about two different things. Thing one, first half of podcast today, we're going to talk about money and relationships. I know y'all heard about the Eboni K Williams and Iyanla Vanzant interview. We're going to talk about it. I'm going to give you what I think, and I want to know what you think. Second half of today's podcast, we're going to talk business. So many of you guys ask me the same questions about business, and how I've been able to grow my business. And so I figured I'd give you a little peek behind the curtain. How does that sound? Cute? Great. So let's get started. It feels weird not to say, hey, man, Jay, your curls is popping. I'm like, I had to just be popping on my own today. Can we just get into, if you're watching on YouTube, which you ought to, this like hot pink sweater that I'm wearing? It's popping. It's popping. Okay. So unless you've been living under a rock or off social, which is probably good for your mental health, you probably heard about this, interview. I guess it was an interview with Eboni K Williams, who's an attorney. She also, I think, is the first Black woman on the Real Housewives of New York, that franchise. She also has I think she hosts a show. So Eboni is very successful, beautiful Black woman. And I don't know if she was interviewing Iyanla on her show, but they were talking about relationships. And the gist, I watched the interview, the gist that I got, that Eboni, I believe, who is 40, but girl, child don't look a day over 32, because Black don't what? Correct. So Eboni was talking about how she kind of told herself if by 40 she was not married and didn't have children, that she would reconsider her dating criteria. And I don't know if Eboni has ever been married or had children, but that's what she was talking about. And so Iyanla was listening to her talk and share, that, she does desire partnership, like so many of us do. And there's nothing wrong with that. Just like it's nothing wrong with not desiring partnership, but that she did desire partnership. And she wanted to kind of rethink how she thought about the type of men that she would be open to relationship with. And so Iyanla listened, and Iyanla asked her the now infamous question, would you date a bus driver? And Eboni looked surprised, as, I think that many people would be. And Eboni said, she started stuttering a little bit, and she said, does he own the bus? And Iyanla said, see, that's the problem right there, that you would not be open to dating a bus driver. And basically the underlying sentiment is, and that's why you ain't got nobody. That was the underlying sentiment. And so I wanted to talk about that. I wanted to talk about dating and money and finances and what you should consider or what you do consider and what I think. And just like the dynamic of what happened in that conversation and how it has divided the interwebs, there's some girlies and men who are like, hey, Black woman, you should be open to dating whomever, whatever. And there's some girlies who are like, I have my standards. I will not settle, even if that means being alone, if that's my choice. And so I'm curious, BA fam, if you want to tweet us at the BA podcast on Twitter, or hit us up on, IG, Brown Ambition Podcast, or me, the Budgetnista, on Instagram and Twitter. I'm curious on your thoughts about what you thought about, one, that question. Because some of the pushback that I saw that the women were saying were like, why is it that Black women get asked this question that I do not see and specifically American Black women. I do not see this question asked of Latino women. I do not see this question asked of white women. Why is it that Black women get asked this question? So I'm going to give you my take. And I'm just interested in what your take is. And the caveat here is, you're grown, do what you want to do. It's you know what? Mandi, girl, about to go rogue. Girl, you ain't here. I don't even have a person in the stew. So we about to just do all straight Budgetnista style. It's my prerogative. You do what you want to do. It's my prerogative. You say what you want to say. Name that artist. I'll give you 2 seconds. 1, 2. Bobby Brown. Some of y'all too young. Y'all don't even know my prerogative. Prerogative, meaning it's your business, right? So this is my belief. My belief is, girl, do what you want to do with who you want to do it, as long as it's consenting. Now, do I kind of have issue with, like the question of, would you date a bus driver? I guess I was trying to see what Auntie Ayanla was saying. I don't know that I have issue with it. I guess it's a question that can be asked. And certainly Ebony could have said, I think that question is not one that I'm interested in answering. Certainly she could draw that boundary. But I will say this, as someone who, quote unquote, I'm trying to figure out how to say it, because I want to be respectful of my late husband, Jarrell Smith, as someone who married someone who made significantly less and would be, quote unquote, the bus driver in this situation, I can see both sides. I can understand why any woman, Black or otherwise, is looking for a partner that makes as much as she does and more. I can totally understand that, because who you marry dictates so much about your life. I can understand a woman wanting a man that's going to provide for her and their potential future family financially. I can understand, the safety and the security that's desired from such a union. I can understand all that, And so I'm not saying that you should not have some criteria about, I want my person to make a certain amount of money if that's what you need. So when I was looking for partnership, I had a long list, as many of us do. And first of all, I had a friend who was like, she's good, but she's an awesome friend. And I remember I was 34 and the Budgetnista was just trying to take off a little bit. I think I was making 6 figures a year, the business, not Tiffany. And I kind of looked around my life and I said, the Budgetnista is taking off, but I'm tired of coming home to myself by myself. I was dating, but nothing serious, And I just remember thinking, I desire partnership. And by partnership, I want to get married. I want to have some kids. Well, I wasn't 100% sure about the kids, but I knew I wanted to get married. I wanted to be, at the very least, in a committed, loving relationship, supportive relationship. So I made this long list, and I was telling one of my friends, and she asked me what was on the list. She was like a dating coach. And she said, Tiffany, you know half this stuff. I said, ooh, the shade. But she was right that some of the things I had on the list, I was not. And so I worked on those things. So some of the things I wasn't all that patient, but I worked on being more patient. I wanted a good communicator, and Lord knows, child, I was not a good communicator. I came from a Nigerian background where the communication was, you do what I say and you be quiet about it and put a smile on your face. So I was not a good communicator. And so there were things on my list that were like that: good communication, kindness, integrity, thoughtfulness, supportiveness. But I also had, doctor, lawyer, multiple 6 figures. I had all these things on my list. Some of the things I were and some of the things I weren't. And some of the things that I wasn't, I started to work on being. And most of those things that I wasn't were internal work things, So I was like, okay, duly noted. But then as I started to really kind of look through some of the guys that, I dated in the past, one name kept coming up for the things that actually meant the most. For me, the things that meant the most. And because I'd dated Jarrell briefly in the past, and at the time he really wanted to get serious, but I was literally just starting the Budgetnista. And I was like, I can't do both. The Budgetnista is my baby. So I couldn't do both. So it just didn't work out because I didn't have the capacity to start this, budding relationship and then also this budding business. And I chose the business. And I'm not sad about choosing the business, So, but as I was kind of thinking about moving forward, about dating again, I thought like Jarrell kept coming up. Like he was like super sweet and kind and funny and supportive, but Jarrell worked, for Newark Housing Authority at the time as maintenance. And I was like, I, as a Nigerian girl with her master's and her bachelor's and, parents who like wanted the world for me, I felt like, I don't know that that's enough. I'm being candid. And so we dated, but I definitely had, if I'm being candid, the first year and a half of dating Jarrell, I had 1 foot in, 1 foot out because I was waiting on my lawyer, doctor, engineer, accountant, physicist, something. I was kind of waiting on that. And Jarrell just kept getting better and better. Like he was already super kind, so supportive, but not just kind to me. He was kind to everybody. He used to feed the neighborhood kids on Fridays with Pizza Fridays. Like he would like fix their bikes. I mean, they would be knocking on our back door after I eventually moved in with him. Mr. Jarrell said I could get dinner. Mr. Jarrell said y'all got cookies. Mr. Jarrell, I'm like, well, Mr. Jarrell's giving away everything in this house. But not just that, all the elderly people, he would make his rounds because we used to live like where he worked for housing. And like it was this cute little like townhouse. And so he had to live on campus basically. And so he would make his rounds. It had nothing to do with his job. They were just elderly people who lived alone, and he would make his rounds to make sure Mrs. Such and Such ate today, Mr. Such and Such, his garbage was taken out. That was him. And I remember like the pivotal moment when I was still 1 foot in, 1 foot out, like, this is cute today, but girl, I need me a doctor, lawyer, 6 figures, because Jarrell never made over 60,000. And I just remember that there was this pivotal moment when I forget what happened. I just remember the shift in me, that there was something that I had done that wasn't the best. Like I can't remember. Maybe I said something or whatever. And like Jarrell was accepting of me as I was in that moment. Like, oh, you know what it was? I think we had our first real argument. And I wasn't a great communicator. I'm the type that I'm going to play some sad music, the song back to back to back. I'm going to walk around moping and I'm going to ignore you. And I'm not going to talk about it like an adult. I'm just going to be like, you should know how I'm feeling. And I remember him coming up to me and being like, it's obvious you're upset. Do you want to talk about it? And I was like, no. And him walking me through what it looked like to communicate like a grown person. And I remember in that moment thinking, this man accepts you as you are with all the stuff that you come with. Bossiness, not able to communicate yet, not in a way that's healthy, and that's helpful, always working. Just like I was acting like I came with everything to the table and that he was coming with nothing to the table. And that wasn't true. And it was in that moment I thought, wow, he accepts you as you are, Tiffany, as imperfect as you are. And if you cannot accept him as he is, which is fine, if you're wanting doctor, lawyer, engineer, pharmacist, then you ought to go, sis, and get you one of them and let somebody else get this good man. I remember thinking that. Like, if that's what you're wanting, go get that. And let somebody else have this amazing man. Don't have him like you halfway in, halfway out, either be in or be out. I felt like a black mama when it comes to the summertime. Is you in or is you out? You let my cold air out, right? And so I remember that I was like, Tiffany, I'm in. I love him. And of all the things that are necessary for me, I was like, I wanted somebody who is intrinsically kind because they're kind, not just kind to me because you love me, because one day I'm going to get on your nerves. How you going to treat me? I wanted somebody who is thoughtful and supportive because I need to be 100% myself. I was a workaholic at that time. And I knew I needed somebody who was going to be supportive of the fact that like I have this big, big, big dream, because I had boyfriends in the past that were not. And I wanted somebody who was obviously like loyal and somebody who was able to communicate, because I wasn't the greatest at that. I had a list of things that meant the most, like need to have. And then I had some like to have. And like to have was, 6 figures. Jarrell did not have his college degree, but college degree. There were certain things that if I really broke down, that it wasn't things I did not want. These were things I'd like to have, but these need to have, he over indexed on those need to haves of how I needed my partner to show up for me. He over-indexed on those things. And I thought, is it settling or is it compromising? I mean, now, like fast forward now, 43 years old, you know, with him like for like 10 years, I know absolutely I did not settle. He was an amazing, amazing, amazing boyfriend, and even better husband. I didn't think I could get better. After we got married, he turned it up a notch, you know? And so I'm not here to say, you know, what you ought to choose. But what I am here to say is, if I'm being honest, a lot of those want to have doctor, lawyer, 6-figure plus, whatever, weren't really my choices, is what the people gonna say. You know the people, mama, daddy, sister, brother, cousin, social media, friend circle, church, what the people gonna say. And if I really looked at what Tiffany wanted and needed, like, that's what I got in Jarrell. And certainly the people had things to say. My parents were not like, yay, you're marrying somebody who doesn't have a college degree and is not making as much as you. They weren't. They were not happy about it at first. And then they got to know Jarrell. And then, like, because if you just knew him, honestly, there are some people, they're just too good for this earth. And I'm not just waxing poetic because he's not here. Everybody, like, this is what, and you meet anybody that knows him or knew him, this is just he wasn't just like, he just was not like regular people. He just navigated from the space of like service and giving. Acts of service was like his number one love language. I can remember, like, my parents, like I said, you know, the Nigerian, all my sisters and I have our college degrees. 3 of us have our masters. One of my sisters is married to a doctor. And so like, they were just, you know, they were disappointed, quote unquote, in me. And I can understand why. And when I first introduced them to Jarrell, my parents were like, okay, you know, they were nice enough. They called me back to the house the next day and were like, what is going on? He seemed like a nice guy, but girl, no. Plus two, Jarrell had a daughter, which I was like, oh my God, my dad was like, what have we done wrong? Where did we go wrong with Tiffany? And I could understand that, although I was mad because I felt like they weren't as warm to him as they were to like my doctor brother-in-law. And over time, Jarrell won them over. And I remember because it was on some old, you better than me. That's what I told Jarrell. I said, we ain't got to go back to my parents' house. You better than me. They're not going to treat me different. And when Black people say you better than me, they indeed mean you are not better than me. But Jarrell was determined to win them over. And I remember being like, why? And he said, Tiffany, I understand. I have a daughter too. And I was like, wait, what? I remember when he told me that, because I was like, I'm so sorry. My parents are, not, they're cordial, but they're not as nice to you. And he was like, Tiffany, I have a daughter too. I know what it looks like on the outside. I know what your dad sees when he sees me, and I get it. I want my daughter to be with the best possible. And I'm going to show them that, that I am going to look after their daughter. I am going to be here and pour into her and love on her, and he did. I remember the first time they kind of clicked to them, one of my friends, Linda, something happened in her house. Like, Jarrell's super handy. That's what he did for work. And Linda's mother, my auntie Esther, is really good friends with my mother. They have they're in the same prayer group, the same friend group. And Linda used to call Jarrell Brother Jarrell, and he would call her Sister Linda. They just became really good friends because Linda's my best friend. And she called him one day, was like, Brother Jarrell, something happened in the house. Can you fix it? So he came by. Of course, once you get to fixing one thing, he ended up been there for hours fixing the whole damn house. And my auntie Esther was like, because Jarrell was just like he always is, kind and generous with his time and, didn't charge them anything. She told my mother about Tiffany's quote unquote friend is so nice. He came here, he fixed all these things. He was so sweet. He was so kind, so generous with his energy and time and knowledge and skill set. And then something happened at my parents' house. They had a flood and the basement, it needed all new, carpet had to be ripped out. And so Jarrell came and did it himself and then repainted their basement. I still have pictures of us in the basement. He was like, we could just do it, Tiffany. I was like, you speak French? But there I was in the basement, painting in the basement. And my mom was so thankful for that. And that was kind of the start when they realized that we are misjudging this person. And there would be times if I'm being candid, I didn't talk to my parents all the time on the phone. It's just, I don't know. I mean, I called him every once in a while, but I would walk in the house and Jarrell would be laughing on the phone. And I'm like, who are you talking to? He's like, your dad. I'm like, my dad? He would call my dad and mom regularly, more than me. And I'm like, wait, what? And so I just say all that to say that had I not really looked at what did I need, versus what the people gonna say, I would have missed out on this amazing, amazing, amazing human being. So I am not here to say that you ought not to need someone who makes a certain amount of money, because you might need that. That's on your needs list. I'm not here to say that you ought to date the bus driver or not. I don't know, girl, that's your business. But what I am here to say is to make sure those are your choices that you are deciding, not the people, what the people gonna say. Because the people gonna say will keep you without an amazing partner, without an amazing life, without the babies that you seek so bad. Like, what do you actually need in your partnership? For me, I knew that I was gonna over-index on earning, and I have. So I knew that although it would be nice, the truth of the matter is, even now, like considering dating now, I'm considering what that's going to look like now that Jarrell is not here. It's been almost 2 years since he passed away. And I've just been considering, what do I need? What kind of, because when Jarrell met me, I was still teaching preschool. And so that was a different dynamic. So now I'm like, well, what kind of man? I know I don't necessarily need a man that's going to make a ton of money, because I already make a ton of money. I bring home 7 figures a year, and not in business. I'm talking about Tiffany. So even if you make 100, 200,000, that don't move the needle for me. I could bring that home in a month if I'm being candid, And so I don't, I'm still wrapping my mind around, I'm a different person now in what I'm needing. And I have not wrapped my mind around if I do want partnership again, one. And then two, what would I need in my partner? Because what I needed then when I got with Jarrell is not what I need now. And so I'm just considering what that is and not what the people gonna say, And so that's just, that's my take on it, is that I don't think there's anything wrong with dating the bus driver, even if you're an attorney or doctor, whatever. I don't think there's anything wrong with saying, I want someone to make a certain amount of money. I don't think it's wrong to say, I don't need that. I need this instead. I think the only way that you can make a misstep is not deciding for yourself. For yourself, what does that look like? I would love your take, Sissy Pooh's, Brown Ambition family, and the brothers here too. I'd love your take. What do you think? I'm glad of the choices that I made. I would not have chosen anything else. Even if I knew that Jarrell was not going to be here, I would have still chosen him 10 times over, because to experience what it is to be loved well, man, I can't even tell you. I was loved so well that even now, 2 years later, after him not being here, I still feel his love. His love has reached into the future, and it still holds me down. And so to be loved well, I'm so glad I didn't miss out on that, because what the people gonna say. You know what I mean? I was loved well. He taught me how to communicate. He taught me how to stand in my own, I was not really good at setting boundaries. I was loved so well. My sister lived with us for 2 years, and she was to live with you and Jarrell was really a master class in relationships. She was like, you guys didn't even argue. We didn't. In the beginning we did. And then we would sit down and talk about let's create rules of disagreement. No yelling, no cursing. No, not that we cursed at each other, but it was we decided early on, and we created a safe word that once the conversation went from helpful to harmful, when you're in a disagreement, all of a sudden now you're like, well, you talking crazy now. We had a safe word, which means go to your corner, be quiet. Whether you got to take a drive, go upstairs, go downstairs. And the safe word for us was pineapples. And that just meant once my neck got to rolling, I'm like, well, first of all, he would say pineapples. And I'm like, oh, you got me with that damn pineapples. Because it meant, Tiffany, you about to say something crazy. And before you say something crazy that you have to apologize for, shut it, walk away. Same thing with him. If I felt like he was about to get angry and say something that I thought was hurtful, pineapples. And you had to respect pineapples. And so those are because of that, we got so good. In the beginning, we would be saying pineapples all the time. And then we got so good at knowing when something was going to go left that you would literally self-pineapple. So if I was gearing up in my head to dig into his behind because he was wrong about something, I would literally hear pineapples in my own head before he said it. To be like, Tiffany, you trying to hurt your person? Why? So you could be right, girl. So after a while, we didn't even get to the occasion of argument. It would just be like, you know what, babe, I love you. So it's not even that serious. Let's just drop it. You know, we didn't raise voices. Like in the very, very beginning, we had to learn, because certainly there was yelling in the beginning, the first few months, because I'm like, wait, this is not how I want this to go. You know, we talked about finances openly. Jarrell's biggest thing was always, I want to be able to pay the bills even if you're not here. So we sat down and looked at our finances in a way like I said, I know I want a nice house, but the money that you bring in can't necessarily afford a mortgage of the kind of house that I want. And so we saved and saved and saved. So our thing was his money paid the bills and my money, we saved and invested, you know, after we got married. That's what we did. And then, so because we saved and invested the money that, you know, the budgetnista was making and he paid the regular bills, which meant I could save and invest even more, we were able to purchase the house that I'm in now as a foreclosure. You know, I think it was at the time like $350 and we got it for $180, but I had to pay that cash. You know, and then we renovated the cash with the savings and investing. So as a result, there was no mortgage, which meant that we can continue to afford the lifestyle that he could pay all the bills. And because there wasn't a mortgage to pay. Same thing with the cars that we drove. We saved up and purchased them cash. You know, they were certified pre-owned cars. Used cars, girl, you know, but really nice, like 2 or 3 years old. And same. So we didn't have a car note. So I was able to structure our life in a way that the money that he brought home could pay bills while I could still live the life that I wanted. So I'm just sharing all these things that like, it's not easy, you know, like if you decide that you are going to navigate with someone who's makes less than you, but it's not impossible. And if you have your need to have, you could work around the want to haves. That's just my perspective. Because when I tell you I was as stressed out as business and stuff made me, I was wildly happy at home. Wildly happy at home. He was just such a good man. Like the loss is so great because he was such a good man. I'm so glad I did not miss out on him. I don't care for how short of a period of time I had him. I'm so glad I didn't miss out. Well, hope that was helpful. Gonna take a quick break, pay some bills. And when we come back, we're going to talk about business, baby. Because y'all keep asking me about business. And I'm like, child, let me answer some of your most, I'm just going to teach a quick business lesson. Okay. Hey, BA fam. Did you know that creating visual content is an essential part of what we do over here at BA? Yes. But the creative process hasn't always been easy. You know I'm not techie, right? So this is why me and Mandi love Canva for Teams. It's a design platform that makes it easy for anyone to create stunning content in any format. You can get a free 45-day extended trial when you go to canva.me/brownambition. That's canva.me/brownambition for a free 45-day extended trial. Canva.me/brownambition. And we're back and blacker. So hopefully you listened to the first part of this podcast where we talked about money and relationships. Let's dig into some business. I don't know if you know, but I'm a mentor or whatever. Like literally I have, I don't know, child, maybe like 10 in-person mentees that trek to Newark sometimes. Literally I have like a mentee walk that I do. There's this park, like in another town where they have like this really great lake. It's maybe like 1.5 miles or maybe 2 miles. Like you could walk like the trail around the lake and it's a really easy trail to walk and it's cute. And then there's a really cute boathouse restaurant next to it. So anyway, whenever one of my mentees comes to see me, we do like a mentee walking session and then we'll have like lunch at the boathouse. And so I just have mentees, like especially women that I pour into when it comes to their finances, not their finances, when it comes to their businesses. And they ask me all manner of questions, but I also mentor digitally because I cannot possibly mentor everybody who wants me to mentor them. And so one of the ways I mentor digitally is I have an online mentorship program via Patreon called mymentortiffany.com. Right now it's $10 a month and I teach a live lesson every single month. And then right now weekly, the mentees meet up and work on their goals together. And I teach a lesson every month. And then every Thursday I give a resource or tool to help you on your journey. So you get a live lesson a month from me. Right now they're meeting weekly to work on their goals. And then every Thursday I give you a resource or a tool. So it's good over there for $10 a month. Yeah. So if you're interested, mymentortiffany.com. All right. So let's get into like one of the biggest things, like what does it look like? So one of the best things that you can do for like, if you're thinking about starting a business, you have a business, you're not sure if you want a business, but one of the best things that you can do is to establish yourself as an expert. So whether it's you yourself personally or your brand, like, maybe you make cookies, or maybe like, so how do you position yourself as like the go-to in the space? So when I mean expert, I mean the go-to. So like, how are you the go-to chocolate chip cookie in the space? Maybe if it's a product, or how are you an expert on all things sneakers, or how are you expert like me, personal finance? Now, one of the reasons why establishing yourself as an expert is so useful, it's such a great marketing tool, because when you establish yourself as an expert, people listen, learn, love, and trust you. And then they look to you for a solution. And guess what your solution is? My business. So there's a business that does this really well called Blogalates. I think it's called Blogalates, right? It's just like super dope. I think her name is Casey, Asian lady. Hey, Casey. Please forgive me, Casey. Your name is not Casey. But I was introduced to Blogalates because I got one of her sweatshirts and I love it. It's this cozy sweatshirt. And I got it because I saw her post on social media, like on YouTube, a YouTube clip where she talked about that it wasn't just, here's my cute sweatshirt. She said, if you're anything like me, you're tired of these sweatshirts that are mostly made for guys, because she makes women's like exercise clothes, right? And this is like, she showed like a video of like how a guy sweatshirt laid on the ground, how it's laid out. And she was like, the shoulders are up here, the waist is here, blah, 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 blah. And I was like, oh, I never thought about that, because who thinks about that? And she said, I realized that like women want something cozier. So I dropped the seam on the shoulders here. I cropped it here. I gave some extra room here, bigger pockets. So she was walking us through, here's what you're used to. Here's better. Expertise. Because if she just said, isn't this a cute sweatshirt? I wouldn't even know why it's cute. I'd be like, oh, okay. But when she showed the difference, I bought, and then like the material that she used, that's different. I bought the sweatshirt and she was right. It is the coziest. Like, it makes you look so cute. You look like what you think you look like when you're wearing your boyfriend's sweatshirt. That's not how you look. This sweatshirt looks like what you think you look like. It is so cute that like, I remember my sisters and I went to, go see Usher in Vegas. And like I wore it in the airport, and my sisters were like, girl, cause I'm not the fashionista sister. They always play me talking about I can't dress, whatever, haters. Right. But they were like, girl, this sweatshirt is hitting. Where you get this from? And, as a result, like, my sister Tracy ended up buying herself one. But I remember thinking, how genius is that? And if you follow Blogalates, it is so genius because she will show you. So now she has like exercise pants. Here's how exercise pants are normally done. Here's what's wrong with this design. Here's how I've edited this design. Go ahead and get them pants. That is genius. And so if you are thinking to yourself, I want to, be an expert, or I want to start a business, I have a service or a product or whatever, like showing your expertise is one of the best ways to do so, because in doing so, you can sell anything on the back end, right? An expert, just for clarity, is someone who has a comprehensive and authoritative knowledge or skill in a particular area, right? So it's important, one, that you know your stuff. You have to identify like what you know more than most, right? So that means you're going to have to keep learning. And when it comes to expert, I want you to think a tree business versus a bush business. Most people, when they're trying to illustrate their expertise, they doing like, I could cook, I could clean, I could do hair, I sew clothes. That's too much. That's a bush business. A bush business is when you have too many branches and they explode at the same time and your growth is stunted. A tree business or tree expertise is when you have one core trunk. I think Casey started with like, I make these sweatshirts, one core trunk that she got really good at, built trust at. And then once she did that, she started to branch off. Now she has protein powder in Target. She's got equipment because she could do the branches now because the trunk of that one sweatshirt, and she built it over years, that trust, that love, that connection with her audience, that she was able to branch out. So just think tree business versus bush business. Don't be afraid to volunteer in order to practice your expertise too. So let's just say for me, when I did personal finance, as a budgetista, as I was like honing my expertise, I did a lot of churches and things for free. I did a lot of one-on-ones with friends because I was honing my expertise skill to know, does this actually work? Do I know how to articulate it? Admit that you don't know something and redirect when you do, when you're building your expertise, right? So step one, we're talking about knowing your stuff, because it is really important that I don't know all the things. And that's okay. I might say, well, I'm not the investorista. Go to Trade and Travel with Terry. Go to Trade Your 9 to 5 with Tila. It's okay. You can also get a certificate or a degree that can be helpful. Not always, but it can be helpful. So we're talking about how do you establish yourself as an expert, which is one of the best ways, best foundations you can build when you're building your business. Because it's always comes down to, why should we listen to you? So step one is know your stuff. Step two really is show your stuff. In order to be an expert, it's not enough for you to know a thing. I also want you to show people that you know a thing. Get press. One of the things I used to do when I first started the Budgetnista before I had a publicist was visit this website called Help a Reporter Out. Help a Reporter Out, Harrow. And all these reporters from all around the country are looking to quote people for articles, New York Times, Wall Street Journal, Insider, sometimes smaller blogs and things. And so Help a Reporter Out is a great way so you can get your name in the press to say, look at me, I am an expert. And so I like to go to Help a Reporter Out. Don't use your regular email because they're going to send you emails 3 times a day and you're going to get annoyed. So use your junk email that you can look at Help a Reporter Out daily. I like to answer emails first thing in the morning because reporters by midday have already been flooded with responses. So I like to look in the morning, answer it before 10 a.m. Hey, my name's Tiffany. Here's my quote. If you need more, share your phone number. I can't tell you how many times a reporter has called me. Maybe it's called a query. The query says looking to interview a woman about why women don't save enough. And I'll say, hi, my name is Jarrell. My name is Tiffany. I believe women don't save enough because, they're tasked with being the caretakers of their family, blah, 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 blah. Hope this is helpful. Please attribute me as this, Tiffany Aliche, founder of The Budgetnista, New York Times bestselling author, Get Good with Money. Get your attribution, how you want them to attribute. And then I might put a note, if this is a digital article, please link back to my site. You want that link back. thebudgetnista.com, because that link back is going to grow your site's expertise in the eye of Google. And then, Live Richer, that's my sign off instead of sincerely, Live Richer Tiffany. And then I put my cell phone number underneath my name because sometimes they have a follow-up question and they can easily, they're like, I have a deadline in 10 minutes, real quick question, Tiffany. Okay. I just dropped some jewels on you, right? Also, to show your stuff to become an expert, get yourself on some podcasts. There's this great website called Chartable. You can see some of the top 100 podcasts in any area, parenting, cooking, teaching, business, finance. You can see those podcasts and pitch them. Podcasts are a great way to grow your expertise. Starting a blog is a great way to grow your expertise so people see you as an expert. Certainly your social media. Obviously, you want to show your expertise there. Your post, going live, posting educational content. You want to be trustworthy and genuine. You want to protect your reputation as you're showing your stuff, right? Something else that helps to build expertise is share your origin story. How did you get here? I used to be a preschool teacher and I learned financial education at home. That origin story helps people to see you as an expert. Okay. Step 3 is to just market. Always be marketing. Update your social media bios. Consider making sure that all your names on your social accounts are the same. I'm the Budgetnista across the board, but also rename yourself. So, I call myself, America's favorite financial educator. Wow, who's that? I made that up. So when the people have me on their podcast or on their television or whatever, they call me that. People will call you what you call yourself. Like Muhammad Ali said, greatest of all time. He made that up. And so people started to call him that. So what is your America's favorite, greatest of all time? Earn Your Leisure calls themselves the biggest ever. Who said Earn Your Leisure is the biggest ever? I don't know if that's true, but guess what? They've tagged themselves that. And when they were on today's show, guess what Hoda said? Today we have Earn Your Leisure, the biggest ever in personal finance. Girl, so rename yourself, plug your business in each interview. Every time you're in an interview, a podcast, whatever, a blog post, plug your business every single time. Ideally your business and a link that people can go back to. Step 4, be consistent. Someone is always watching. So consistently bringing value to your audience, whether, you collect their emails and you send them like a weekly or a monthly newsletter, you're posting regularly on social. You want to be consistent and you want to offer timely solutions. Like earlier in the podcast today, we talked about something that just hit social media. People like to see when something happens that they can rely on you. I don't care if it's cookies. If I was going to offer a timely solution to cookies and people are all about keto now, how do you make keto cookies? All these kids have nut allergies, right? How do you make cookies safe for the classroom? You see what I mean? So you want to bring value, educational value, ideally to your audience and make them timely. And last but not least, you want to build an audience. People want to ask, how did I build my business to an 8-figure business, right? Because we've made approaching $40 million in the last 15 years of business, right? And how? One of the ways is that we have an amazing community. You have to build an audience, start with an email list. Like I like to give away free resources in exchange for people's emails so I can keep in contact with you. Like there are apps, not apps. Yeah, I guess it's an app like that you can collect phone numbers called smartphone. Is it a smartphone? Child, don't get me to lying. Superphone. That's what I use, because what I like about phone is that although it's a little more expensive than email to navigate, the open rate, meaning the amount of people that open your text, is about 80%, to email maybe 60% if you're lucky. So collect phone numbers, create appointments for connection. So if I was just starting out now, then I would be going live every Wednesday at 4. So people just know, like, you have kind of like this must-see TV, build an audience. It is probably one of the most important things you can do to establish your expertise, right? So speaking, teaching, what's so great about once you create your expertise is that you can really start to monetize it by speaking, by teaching, by selling your product, through affiliates, through joint ventures, like you partner with someone else. You can create products and services related to your community's problems because you connect with them regularly. You could be a spokesperson, do a brand ambassador work. Okay. And so I'm just saying, right now, help a reporter out, creating expertise, before you start business or while you're starting your business, or even if you're well into it, is one of the best ways to ensure that you will be here. It's been 15 years for me. And one of the reasons why I'm still here is because I'm constantly working on being an expert in my space, establishing that expertise, and just asserting that over and over and over. And so it's allowed me to pivot in business. I mean, I've written a children's book. I've self-published books. Y'all know I got Gicker with Money, 250,000 copies sold. I have an online school, the Literature Academy. Because of my expertise, I can do the budget needs to 10 different ways. We have the podcast, Brown Ambition. Do you see what expertise allows you to do? It allows you to spread beyond your initial offering and to offer different things to the same people. And they're grateful for it because they want your expertise in multiple ways. So hopefully that was helpful. That some of you guys are always asking me, how do I start? How do I start? That's a free way to start because you don't have to pay any money to start establishing your expertise, with those 5 ways that I showed you. If you found value in that, which I know you did, and you're like, I want you to mentor me, Miss Tiffany. I cannot take on any more walking mentees. But you are welcome to join our Patreon. There's 1,500 people in there. You're welcome to join us there at mymentortiffany.com. Like I said, it's just $10 a month, although I think next month it's going up to 20, but we grandfather the people in. I'll let you know when it goes up, before it goes up. But yeah. And so hopefully that was helpful today. We talked about money. We talked about business. Talked a little relationship talk. It was cute today. How you like it? Because we're going to be having guests. Mandi's having her baby and she's going to be out for a while. So I will certainly have guests in the studio many days. But some days it'll just be us chatting about. So if you liked it, send me a tweet, send me a message on IG, The Budget Needs to, on both places, and let me know how you felt about today. You have any questions? Until next time, BA fam. Oh, on Friday, we're going to see you on BAQA. That's going to be me too. Me too. All right. Love y'all. Bye. Hey, BA fam. We're on YouTube. Woohoo. Thank you so much for watching. Please like this video and subscribe to the channel.
And while you're at it, why don't you go over to that little bell icon and just tap that for us. Show the BA fam how much you love us. And that way you'll also get notifications when new videos drop. Also, share the channel with a friend. We're always like, tell a friend, tell a friend, tell a friend. And thank y'all so much again for all the support.